Are you seeing also more of a desire for a hybrid technology that's going to extend the reach of an event beyond the face-to-face attendees? Are your planners, asking for those type of technologies to be available for their events?
You talking about telepresence specifically, or something else?
Telepresence it could be one of the applications, but just any type of technology that's going to help them include or communicate the meeting to its attendees and more efficiently, and maybe make the event have more of a life after it's over.
As a hotelier, I struggled with that initially when this started coming up a few years ago, because I tried to figure out how that's going to drive a room night. But over time, as you start to see various business cases and presentations from corporate customers that have shown attendance has not been impacted at the facility, but the reach has grown to more employees or more constituents, more customers or whatnot through various technologies. And that's actually encouraged them to want to be part of that face-to-face meeting down the road. So in the beginning, I was not a fan whatsoever and fought it at every step. But now it seems like there's actually some benefits coming out for it. So
it's actually turned into a driver, to your point, right? So they go there, they get the extended reach, and then they've just got to be there the next year to really connect them face-to-face.
And there's a time and a place for it. It's not the end-all for every opportunity, but there's certainly a role.
There's certainly a lot of request for more bandwidth at lower cost, and this valley, I think, has responded unlike any other community around the country. A lot of people like to claim they're wired and all that, but I don't know too many that have WiMAX, 4G, 3G, fiber, DSL, and wireless everywhere in the valley. I mean, this entire valley, there is not a place you can't go where you're not able to ping one of those technologies to do what you need to do. And that is what has happened because of the request of our clients to bring this technology to their meetings so that they can serve a greater constituency than just the people that are there for the face-to-face.
And it's not coincidental that high-tech is one of our biggest markets. There's a reason. As Chris said, there's an infrastructure built for speed for that. So it's a big reason why we're getting that business.
How about incentive programs? Are they starting to come back a little bit more? I know that a lot of companies that had been doing international incentives did pull back over the last couple of years. And those that were doing incentives were doing them mainly in the U.S. But has Las Vegas started to see a comeback from incentive groups?
Do you mean reward programs?
Yes.
Yes.
The I to the R.
I think employers all over the world realize that they need to put reward programs in place in order to continue to drive and move their businesses forward. So yes.
I think they look different, though. I think that they're trying to offer the reward program, but they're also trying to show an ROI as far as being able to get business done, because I think the scrutiny on the incentive, the straight incentive, and the ability to get straight incentives is way minimal compared to what it was a few years ago. I think they're just restructuring it.
That segment, I think, more than any, are taking advantage of some of the local community efforts and outreach and building that into the program. So there's a give back to the community.
Yeah.
How about budgets for programs, not just for incentives, but meetings? Where are the clients trimming, and if so, where are they trimming?
Trimming, you mean after the room rates have been trimmed?
Yeah, I was gonna,
And after the discounts have been given on the food and beverage and the AV and
Everywhere.
I was going to say, outside of the room rate, typically what we're finding is the commonplace closing night reception with the national act or national speaker that was commonplace years ago. We don't see a lot of that anymore. So Huey Lewis and the News playing to a group of 600 folks, we're not seeing that in the volume we used to in the past.
That's because
the
Huey
news.
retired.
Bad example.
I think you're seeing the length of stay is diminishing. I think you're also seeing companies where they can, they're doubling up their attendees. wherever they can find a way to trim. And certainly, they're being very careful with the amenities they're offering. They don't want anything to appear to be ostentatious or to bring, to shine negatively on them with their shareholders.
I think this ties a little bit into the corporate social responsibility as well, as where a program may have gone out and done a golf tournament, for example. Instead, they have people going out and utilizing Habitat for Humanity or something similar to that, so they're covering both ends.
There is another phenomenon as all that is taking place, though, and it's called the pop-up. And there's a tremendous amount of focus in all disciplines in establishing a budget to get this meeting approved. But when it comes time to actually execute the program, we found a very nice, consistent uptick in people either undercutting guarantees, creating the pop-ups, or enhancing and adding to the event because now the executive's on property and said, wait a minute, I really want that. And so that's led to a lot of short-term pickup. At the same time, everybody's being cautious in the beginning.
On another positive note, with our price point, the government market has done well where, in the past, the per diem precluded us from taking that type of group, but now being creative and where our rate is versus the per diem to apply that toward food and beverage, other areas to make it, a viable group all around for us.
How about, does anybody want to address the effect that some of the things the airlines are doing are having on meetings? How are planners and participants, kind of reacting to the fuller planes and the growing airline fees and baggage restrictions and other types of travel issues? Does anybody want to maybe weigh in on that?
Oh, man, I think it's proving once again that Las Vegas is a great value destination for airlift. I mean, any way you cut it and you compare us against the competitive set, which arguably in this case would be any city in the country, and we still come out on top. So I would venture to say that it's had a positive impact. We're all telling you volumes are up this year, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
It just
people-
doesn't come up in conversation. I just haven't heard
Yeah.
boo about one way or the other. Someone saying, I'm not coming to Vegas because I can't get Lyft. We still have 62,000 seats a day, I think, Chris?
More than that.
More than that?
Yeah.
I also haven't heard anything about the fees
Yeah.
for bags. I haven't heard any.
I think people complain to each other individually about it, but as part of the business conversation, it's not something we affect, so
Yeah.
you don't really hear that.
Plus, I think that it's just the offset of the value. The city is a value, and so that helps offset the cost of the airlines. And this is a draw. It still has that feel to it,
Yeah.
excitement.
All right, let's talk about maybe some local developments. Let's talk about the city center project and how it's evolved since it's opened. What kind of an impact has it had on Las Vegas, as a visitor destination for meetings groups, and even its effect on the city itself?
Okay.
Who wants to take this
Take
one?
that one.
I'm happy to, because it's a great story. There is a tremendous amount of media attention, I think first and foremost, domestically and internationally, that the project brought to the city as a whole, and we've all drafted off that, and I think that's been a very big positive. The fact that it was the single largest creation of jobs in corporate America in 2009, adding 10,000 positions, I think is a huge positive. The media, ran amok. Is it going to open? Is it not going to open? Well, it did, and it is, and it's getting better every quarter. So adding excess inventory into the marketplace during the toughest recession any of us have ever been in, not an easy conversation. But at the end of the day, we strongly believe it's going to add more interest and drive more visitation because everybody always wants to come here and see what's new. And that behavior hasn't changed. So the competitors around the room may have a different view on it, but that's my view.
I don't think we do. I think Las Vegas has had a long history of supporting competition and recognizing competition is good for the city. And I would think it's if anything, at worst case scenario, everything that you said is true, and it's probably still too early to tell. I mean, it takes a long time. I mean, like you said, opening any project in this kind of environment is difficult. I think it's done pretty well.
I think the most important thing is that we want everybody to be successful, because if we're not all successful, the city doesn't succeed. And it's healthy
Exactly.
competition. It makes us all better.
Short-term and long-term. In short-term, obviously, it becomes a competitor and it drags down rate. Long-term, I agree with Jordan, it's got to be a good thing. I mean, the building is so damn unique. I mean, who's ever spent that kind of money to build something? So it becomes another barrier to entry for another city. I mean, what city in the world could put together this kind of money that's been put together along this strip, and then City Center is just another gem on the strip? I mean, I don't know how long-term it can't be good for all of us. It's got to be. Danielle's right. I mean, high tides rise all boats. It's a good boat.
And I
The
think
best boat.
that's something that we've been known for over decades, that we continually reinvent ourselves. And if you haven't been to Las Vegas in 3 years, there's something amazingly new that you haven't seen yet. And City Center is definitely that, so.
Maybe a long time before you see anything again, like he said, especially with the financial, the economic impact. But again, that may be a good thing because, again, a barrier to entry, and it once again makes us stand out amongst any other city in the
Absolutely.
United States, frankly, in the world. I mean, as I run Macau and Singapore, I mean, this city is like no other.
Yep.
It's the Mecca.
And how about the two projects that were kind of problematic, the Cosmopolitan and the Fontainebleau? What's the status of those two properties? And, what do you think the legacy of that's going to be for Las Vegas?
For Fontainebleau, there is no update other than they have a new owner in the form of Carl Icahn, who recently announced to the New York Times that he was stripping it out, which means he's selling off the internal assets to cover the $156 million that he paid for a $3 billion piece of property. And so obviously he made a nice financial move there. And then on the Echelon side, there won't be any movement on that for quite some time.
Cosmopolitan, yes.
Cosmopolitan opens on December 15th. And they have a new operating agreement with Marriott, and a new flagship of Marriott's is being launched through the Cosmopolitan Hotel.